I've got to find a new place to write a novel. And long story short, I wound up in the Philippines because a friend said, oh, go to the Philippines, Kent, because I really wanted to go to Asia because I'd never been here. I've been all over the world, but never Asia. So my friend said, oh, go to the Philippines, you know, they speak really good English, you're gonna love it. So I went there, I went to Manila, and I did not love it at all because it was like America. It reminded me of a sad version of an American city. You know, so I'm like, oh, come on, I've been all this way, you know, my big romantic fantasy of this different culture, and I'll write, and it'll be wonderful. And here I feel like I'm in some crappy American place. So I said, where? And I looked at the map. And I said, well, there's a few choices. Look there, Vietnam. Now, Vietnam, of course, being a child of the 1960s, raised during the Vietnam War, which you guys logically call the American War, it has a very special meaning to Americans, but particularly to my generation, because we were the little kids wearing peace signs and watching the anti-war movements in America, and you know, so it was really part of our upbringing. So I thought, wow, Vietnam, that could be cool. So I went to the embassy in Manila, Vietnamese embassy, and they were so friendly. I mean, I couldn't believe how friendly they were. And so I said, I'm going. So I went to Hanoi, and I fell in love with Vietnam instantly. I knew I was home. In fact, the first morning I arrived was very late, 2 o'clock in the morning. Taxi took me to where I had rented a room in a house like, and it was in Ba Ding district. And so I didn't see anything that night, you know, I couldn't see anything. And in the morning I woke up, I heard roosters. You know, you always hear roosters in Vietnam no matter where you are. And I'm like, this is great, roosters. I opened the balcony and I went on the deck and I just looked at the little windy street and the women wearing conical hats, and I knew I was where I needed to be. And so that was it. And so I knew I was going to be here. I started working on my novel. I was very happy. And I go to, one day I was at a bar and reading the Vietnam news. A Vietnamese guy came up and said, can you teach English? You know, like, I'll be honest with you. In my building, there were other foreigners, mostly foreigners. Almost every one of them a teacher. They're a lot younger than me, right? They're 20-somethings from all over the world. And I was very unimpressed by them. I thought, these people are teaching? I mean, they didn't impress me. So when he asked me, I said, well, judging from who's teaching your kids right now, I'd say, yeah, I'm probably pretty qualified to teach. Why do you want to know? He wanted to hire someone to teach his niece and nephew. So I ended up doing that, tutoring, private tutoring. And I found that I liked it. And I was good at it because as a writer and a performing artist, I've been in bands and done stand-up comedy and a public speaker. I've done all these things have been part of my life that to help people communicate in English was a gift that I had. So I was a natural. Yeah. You know, it was like natural for me. And then I got offered a job in Ziencho as a teacher, and I said, okay, I'll do it. And then I've been teaching ever since. And now I'm in Calo because that's where I wanted to be. So. Yeah. So that was a long story to answer your short question, but That's
It's a long story.
that's how it happened. You know, the teaching kind of found me in a bar.
So I wonder the year that you came to Vietnam is in 2018.
18. Yeah,
So
2018.
5 years now.
Yeah, I've been here 5 years, over 5 years now. Which
Right.
is very exciting. I mean, I really feel, you know, like Vietnam is my home. It's my Vietnamese is not very good, but I can do okay with like words. You know, I can eat, I can talk to people. Everyone likes me. I smoke tuk lao, so I'm, you know, the old they go, cool, look, he smokes tuk lao. Crazy taste.
Smoke to clouds. Alright.
So, yeah. Any other questions?
My question is, you came to Vietnam about 5 years ago, and then you start to take up a new language like Vietnamese.
Well, I have not made much of an effort to learn the language, and I'll explain myself. I have an excuse. I am challenged with languages. I mean, that's when I was in high school. We learned Spanish 2 years. 2 years I studied Spanish. And you know, California, right near Mexico, lots of Spanish speakers in America. And I just couldn't get it. You know, now when I've traveled to Spanish-speaking countries, whether it's South America, Mexico, the Caribbean, or Spain, it comes a little bit. I can get by about as much as I get by in Vietnam. I just have some words, but I never really have much of a problem. Because, as I will discuss, so much of communication is more than language. It has to do with expression, with tone, with a lot more than simply words. I mean, you know, you can teach a bird to speak, to say words. You know, parrots, they go, hello, my name is Joe, I like a cracker. So speaking is really rudimentary. It's not, doesn't mean a whole lot. Communicate is what you must be able to do. And you will not have a conversation with that bird. I don't care how big its vocabulary is, you're not gonna have a conversation with it, right? So the ability to communicate and have a conversation is the most important. It's paramount in learning a language. And, you know, so even I tell my students, they say, well, I don't have, you know, very big vocabulary. I say, look, there are people with big vocabularies that really can't string together a sentence. If you use whatever you have and make it count. Be expressive. Whatever you've got to work with, make it count. You know, there's a lot of kids in Vietnam, vocabulary cramming is a big thing. They love kids that know 1,000 words. They can name everything in here. Whiteboard, TV, fan, air conditioner, Okay, now use air conditioner in a sentence. Air conditioner, very funny. Okay, very good, bravo. You understand what I'm saying? So words, if you can't communicate, express yourself, then you've got arrows with no tips. They're not gonna do you any good. You know, they're just words.
Yeah. But what if what is all we have? We don't have kind of other talents.
Well, you develop though, but you see, the art of speaking,
Yeah.
the words are just part of it. They're like it would be like saying a face has a mouth and a nose and ears and eyes, right? And you, the words clearly are the core, very important, but words alone don't mean, look, you could, I show this to my kids all the time. I'll look at, right now, I say, tell me, what am I? What am I?
Friendly.
Friendly,
Funny.
funny, happy, what am I?
Hungry.
Hungry, what am I?
Sleepy.
What am I? Okay, I didn't say a word,
Yeah.
and we just communicated. So, words, you know, I mean, look, I could say, I love you, you are the most beautiful girl in the world. Will you go to the dance with me? She'd probably go, oh wow, that was really passionate. Or I'd go, I love you. You're the most beautiful woman in the world. Please join me in the dance. That guy's gonna get 8 out of 10. The other guy's getting 2 out of 10. Same words. Same words. Just expression and some passion. You know, that is so important in, you know, the word alone. It has to be embellished. It has to be brought to life. Bring words to life. People will fall asleep. You know, they listen to people talk and they'll just start falling asleep because you're not capturing them. It's important that you, and I'm not saying you have to be a stage actor, if that's what you mean by no talent. I'm not suggesting you have to be a Broadway actor, but you should be comfortable enough in your own body to express yourself. And the words are only part of it. They're only part of it. And I have a lot more on that, but so I don't want to digress too much, but are there any more personal, any more questions?
Yeah, question, personal one. Everyone. Question for him, personal one.
Ask me anything. It's fine. I don't mind. If you have any curiosity about
How
an
you-
American in Vietnam, ask. Anything? No. Are you shy?
Oh, well, actually, I'm curious about the American cultures. For example, like some detailed aspects such as the cuisine.
Cuisine?
Yes, the very.
Well, I'll tell you one thing I can tell you that I think that Vietnamese have a misconception of American cuisine. Because I hear a lot, and they'll say, oh, well, you got it's fast food. You guys just like hamburgers and hot dog, you know, fast food. And I have to explain to them, look, yes, we are guilty of blowing up this fast food craze.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, we did it, but we didn't do it because we don't know what tastes good. We did it because it was clearly a demand for it, and there was big money to be made. People drive in America a lot. They're busy. They wanted to be able to get food fast and be on their way. And it's sad. I mean, it's sad, but our cuisine, American cuisine, you almost can't even put it in a box because you can go almost any city, in fact, any city in America, and you could probably go within a mile radius and find a restaurant from every culture, and even Vietnamese now because it's becoming popular. You can find Mexican, you'll find Thai, you'll find Vietnamese, you'll find Italian, you find everything. And, you know, American food was pretty much steak and potatoes. That's what we call it. We're a steak and potato country. And nobody does make steak like we do. We make the most incredible steak. But, you know, we eat a lot. That's why we're fat. We got a lot of fat people. And I always get a little concerned because what people think of in America is fast food. And so the kids in Vietnam think, oh, they're eating American by eating fast food. But that's not really, I mean, it's a way millions of Americans eat, yes, but that is really not American cuisine, okay? And I get very sad because I see kids now, they don't want to eat like mung tom sauce. Mung tom.
Yeah.
Like I love that, and the kids looking, and you know, all these things that I like egg sao and chin cook and all this stuff, and the kids don't like it. The little kids now, they're like, no, they want pizza, and the worst. But that's what, you know, they want these. They're being influenced by what, and that does not make me happy at all, because that is not a good influence. I don't think any American would be proud to say, guess what? The kids are eating terrible pizza and crappy burgers now in Vietnam. Haven't we done great? I don't think anyone would be very proud of that, you know. I mean, I really don't. And you know, I can tell them, I say, look, it's okay, you try it, you eat it every once in a while, but don't. One of the reasons I have stayed in Vietnam, and this is really high on my list, because, you know, you always make lists, right? What are the pluses? What are the minuses? Should I go somewhere else? Should I return home? What should I do? Every once in a while you ask yourself. And in the plus column, like right at the top, is food. Because I'm 66, so I'm not a kid anymore. So diet is actually really important for me. And it took me a long time to realize that. But I feel it. And I eat Vietnamese food, and it's so healthy and so balanced. The mix of vegetables with meats and fruit, and you get everything at every meal. It's just so healthy. And I feel it. I feel it. I feel it. So, you know, Vietnamese cuisine is awesome. And so seeing kids forsake it for fast food is horrible. And, you know, I hope the parents, you know, you guys are not parents, but you have younger brothers and sisters, I'm sure. You need to tell your parents, don't get lazy like the West did with the fast food convenience, and let them get addicted to bad food, you know. It's important that they maintain the culture. Soup lun, bang lun. Some of them don't even like soup lun. They think it's gross, you know. It's like it's eel. Ugh. I go, are you kidding me? Look how good this is. I mean, what is better? Any other personal questions?
Are there any difficulty when you live in Vietnam? And do you have to change something about yourself to adapt to a new living condition?
I don't think so, but you have to remember, I am not the average person. I have always moved. I've always, we say, marched to my own beat. You understand? I've marched to my own drummer. So I've never been sort of the average normal. I've never been normal. I'm just not a normal person. And I'm proud of that. But so I adapt wherever I go. And I like that. I want to adapt because that's how you grow. You grow not by going somewhere and trying to force them to be like you. You go somewhere new and get to pick up all of these new culture and traits and traditions and learn all kinds of new stuff that make you a bigger person. So for me, it was like I came in like this. It's why I didn't like the Philippines. It was nothing new. It was just like being in America, even down to the fact that everybody spoke English. It was not, I was not going to grow. I got to Vietnam, I said, wow, this is going to be a change. Now let me think if there was anything, I think if there was anything, it is that the Vietnamese do not express affection very physically. Whereas, not everywhere in America, but New York, as a New York guy, I mean, we hug and kiss each other. How are you doing? You know, we can't help it. That's how we are. We're so overtly affectionate. And so I noticed in Vietnam that, you know, hey, and yeah, and they said, oh, no, it's not our culture, it's not our culture. But I wonder, because when I'm around children in classrooms, I noticed, which did not surprise me, the little kids, they want to hug. They charge me, they hug me, oh, teacher, kiss little kisses. I mean, rub my hairy arms, ooh, you know, they're very affectionate. So I figured, okay, this is what I thought. Humans are humans. All humans crave, need, desire, want affection. Some cultures begin to pull back as you get a little older and you're more taught, no, we don't do that. But it's not anything that's really inherent, because the little kids, and it's funny, I've had parents say, you know, every day, just saying goodbye after class, they just, you know, oh, teacher Kent, and they just, you know, we have a little love fest. And I've had parents say, you know, Vietnamese kids just don't do that, and they do it with you. So I think maybe because I'm like Ông Nội grandpa.
Yeah.
Ông Nội. Ông Nội. I think I'm like the furry grandfather.
Yeah.
So that would probably be the only thing. Because other than that, not really. Oh, I'll tell you another one that's classic is, in America, you know, it's not uncommon at all to go eat by yourself. Like, I like it. I go to a restaurant, I sit, I got my newspaper, you know, I'm just chilling, I'm just eating, I'm happy. But in Vietnam, they see you, he must be sad. He's all alone. I have strangers offering to sit with them. I mean, it never ends. Oh, come join boat. I mean, let's go. Come on, be happy. Come join us. And it's like, I'm just like, really, I'm just very relaxed. I'm just chilling here, man. But they find that very difficult to believe. Poor man, he's all alone. So, and that's very loving. That's a beautiful thing, I think, you know.
Yeah.
That's very beautiful. That's part of your culture. You have a culture that is like none other that I have ever witnessed. And I've seriously been around a whole lot of the world. And I've never quite met a culture as loving and friendly as the Vietnamese. It's a great, great, great culture. Really is.
Yeah.
Really wonderful people.
Mhm. So I think you like and you become more love Vietnam because it's maybe it's opposite to your identity, to your personality. Do you think so?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say opposite, but I will say, again, being a New York guy, when I first got here, Vietnamese were so friendly that at first I thought, they're after something. Nobody is this nice. They must want something from me. It's a trick. Because nobody's that nice. You understand? I mean, my New York radar went up. Okay, you better watch this person. They're being a little too nice. You know, but it wasn't anything. It was just the way the Vietnamese are. Genuinely trusting and friendly. And it's pretty great. So I wouldn't say it's the opposite, but it takes getting used to because it's not common almost anywhere else, with the exception of maybe some Latin American countries that are, you know, have that sort of passion, but not like Vietnam. Vietnam, you guys have a cool country. You guys are very lucky. I hope you know that. I think you're very lucky. I was going to talk about this. I might as well say it now. I think that you guys there's going to be a renaissance. You know what a renaissance is?
Yes.
A renaissance in Vietnam. And it's coming. And I think that being teachers, you'll be very much a part and be responsible in a lot of ways for helping bringing it about. I think you're going to see a lot more artists and musicians and poets and writers and performers and I think the whole, you know, I see it. I lived through the 1960s in America. That was a cultural revolution that affected the entire world, but really had an impact on our country. It changed everything, turned everything upside down, and in a really good way. And I see it coming in a more moderately in Vietnam, because, you know, you had a country that was just decimated by that horrible war. For the last 30, 40 years, you could do nothing but rebuild, fix everything that had been blown away. There was no time for children to be musicians or artists or writers. It was like, come on, Ming, put the pen down and grab a hammer. There's work to do.
Yeah.
Okay? And I get that. And Vietnam has done an amazing job of coming up from the ashes. But now you're at a point, very much a developing country, lots of global trade, global tourism, the money's coming in. Now, young people, I think, can breathe, take a breath, and if you want to write, or you want to sing, or you want to dance, or pick up a guitar, or a violin, or whatever, it's okay. It's okay. Go for it. And when that happens, woohoo, that's when renaissances start. They really do. Businessmen don't create renaissance. Artists create renaissance. And I think that you're going to see a big influx of young creative people. And they're going to be your students. And you. I mean, they're going to be you and your students. So for me, I say, okay, how lucky was I to live in San Francisco, the epicenter of the 1960s, with the hippies and peace and love and rock and roll. Got to experience that. Now I may be getting it again
Yeah.
in Vietnam.
Right.
Oh man, a twofer. A twofer. That's pretty awesome. So I'm excited for you guys. I think you're coming into one of the coolest periods, you know, for Vietnam. It's just
Yeah. So we are moving to a new kind of stage of our country.
exactly.
Yeah. And there's and there's some trouble. Like a student or kids now, they are more free to think about what they want to do, but their parents in the old
Exactly.
stage.
But here's what you have to understand. That's the same thing that happened in America in the 60s. The parents were from the 40s and the 50s, the 1940s and 50s. Very rigid. The man does this, the woman does that, we all dress alike, we all do this, and then the 60s came, and the kids kind of rebelled, and just, woohoo! It changed everything.
Yeah.
And that was the best thing that ever happened to our country, for sure. And, you know, it's the same thing. It's going to happen here. It's not going to be as dramatic, because you're not quite as dramatic as a culture. But the end will be the same. It will evolve, and the parents will just have to get used to it. That's just what happened in America. The parents finally just had to say, well, you know, get out. What did Bob Jones say? Get out of the times they are a changin'. Very famous song called "The Times They Are a Changin'." Get out of the road if you can't lend a hand, something like that. That was like, you know, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. You can't. It would be like trying to push a wave with your hands. You can't do it.
Yeah.
And the parents can't do it either. The key where you have I think a more scary situation is because the kids have so much technology that you're gonna have a bigger responsibility in helping to not let them get kind of hooked on that and become kind of little robots,
Yeah.
you know, because that would be not a good thing either.
Yeah. But I got into a kind of and I'm a sandwich between a parent and a kid when he do not like English and he do not like to learn English, but their parents want him to learn English, and I myself see that he into art and he like art, but I cannot tell him that you should stop learning English because your parents want you to do that. So
Yeah.
So what should I do? What I should do?
Well, what kind of art? I mean, what when you say art, what
Yeah,
he likes drawing?
Yeah.
Does he? Well, here's what I would do. I mean, now this is the top of my head. Okay, I'm just thinking on my feet.
Okay.
He likes to draw. I would say, okay, here's what you need to do. I want you to create a comic for me, but I want them to speak in English. So make your cartoon, but I want them speaking in English.
Yeah. Okay. That's.
He gets to be the artist, but he has to think a little bit about his English also. And he might come to like it if he can associate the English with something that he likes doing. Oh, this is not so bad. Look, my robot just said, come here, or whatever, and the boy said this, and the bird spoke, and, you know, I do that a lot in my classes. I have kids do, you know, comics, cartoons.
Yeah.
But they have to have dialogue. There's got to be dialogue in English. You know, and I'm going to talk to you about that in a minute here.
Thank you.
Okay, so are there any other questions? Otherwise, I'm gonna start a little lecture thing, okay? Yes?
What impressed you most when you living in Vinh City, in Nghệ An province or in Vietnam?
Well, again, I love the culture. In Neon, I love the food because it's spicy. I think we have the best food because it's very spicy. And I love spicy food, so I love it. Saigon food, too sweet, don't like it. I love Neon food for sure. But Kulo, see, I'm a beach guy. I need the ocean. So I've got the beach, and for me, that's it. You know, I swam 2 weeks ago, I swim year round. If the sun comes out, I'm in. I just need sun. I can get in the water, just a little sun.
Yeah.
So for me, you know, this is where it's at. And Kulo's going through some changes.
Yeah.
All right, so guys, let me give you a few of my concepts here, okay? I have developed what I call the triangle method. It's actually a dual triangle. It's not very good. And I actually, something that our students are able to speak. Sadly, and I see this every day because I work with Vietnamese teachers, they just want the kids to speak. They'll say, here's the topic. They'll have to talk about Tet. I mean, God, if I hear one more time about chung cake and this and that, but it's okay. But they say the same things. They just say the same things over and over. But they're speaking, and so the teacher's very happy. Oh, they're speaking. Let me tell you something. Everybody in America speaks English, okay? We have many stupid people. So speaking English does not make you smart, okay? We have lots of idiots in America. They speak English. So if just speaking is all you're after, maybe you could be stupid in 2 different languages? What's the point? Do you understand? Yeah. It's not speaking. So, how do we get intelligent enough to speak intelligently? We start by reading. Reading English. Fiction. Why fiction? Fiction, because in fiction, 2 reasons. First, imagination. What is that? Chi tung tung. Chi tung tung.
Tưởng tượng.
Right?
Yeah.
Imagination.
Right.
Chi tung tung.
Yeah.
Chi tung tung. Number one word. Fiction inspires the imagination. More importantly, there is dialogue. Conversation, right? In fiction, there's lots and lots of conversation. Characters speaking to each other. What does that mean? That means when you're a child for instance, in Neon Province, where they don't have access to very many native English speakers, like say Hanoi or Da Nang or Ho Chi Minh City, I hear this all the time. How do I hear language? Read fiction. Reading is listening. When you read, Joe said, Mary, where should we go for our vacation this year? I don't know, Joe. I'm tired of the same old thing. Let's try something new, something wild. Okay, Mary, let's pick something out of that. We'll spin the globe and choose. You reading this are listening to an English conversation. So you're listening. Guess what? Typical conversation is mundane. You know the word mundane?
Yeah.
What is it in Vietnamese? Mundane.
Tầm thường.
Typical conversation in literature, sublime.
Yes.
Sublime. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Here's your typical conversation. Hey, what's up? Want to get pizza? Did you see the Blackpink concert last night? Hey man, did you see the football game? Let's be honest. Typical conversation is mundane. People rarely say much that means much, right? Think about it. Just next time you're walking in the school, just stop and listen to two people talking. You'll probably put you to sleep. Now, read a book. See what they're talking about. You're going to be like, wow, this inspires me. This stimulates my imagination. So reading fiction at every age is so important. Because again, you are listening to conversation. Then we go to writing. Okay? You've eaten at the table of literature. Now it's time to write. And why write? Because when you write, you speak. Again, fiction, right? Fiction. Or even just dialogue, like a play. Just have 2 characters, 3 characters, 8 characters. I don't care. Start a conversation. And try to bring it beyond mundane into the sublime. Because then you're reading, you're listening. You're writing, you're speaking. You are speaking when you're writing, gang. That's the bottom line. And if you write fiction and you create characters and scenes, you will be writing intelligently. It won't be just, hey, what's up? Hey, did you do your homework last night? Nah, me neither. There, end of conversation. Wouldn't that make an exciting movie or a book? Boo. It'd be horrible. Now, last is speaking. Because once we have read and heard, wrote and spoke, then we can speak. And we might just have something to talk about. Now, there's another part of speaking that is important and it's done every day, and that are the mechanics, and that's what we're going to get into now. There are mechanics of speaking. Okay, so when those kids speak every day, telling me about Ted Holiday and June Cake and whatever, they're not really pushing their mental envelope, but they are practicing the motions of speaking, which is very important because different muscles when you speak English. A lot of throat, a lot of mouth, a lot of tongue, a lot of things going on that are not the same as when you're speaking Vietnamese. So, how do they speak? Loud, so that you are heard. Clear, so that you are understood. There's a difference, right? Being heard and being understood. For instance, I could say, you all heard me, yes?
Yes.
But did you understand me? No, because I wasn't clear. I was loud. You could hear me. You could hear me say, I said, let's go get some pizza this afternoon. But I didn't say it clearly. Now I could say, did you hear me? No. And I said, perfectly clear, let's go get some pizza this afternoon. So loud and clear are exclusive. You must be loud, and for Vietnamese, because you're a little more mellow, I'm a New Yorker, man. We don't even know we're talking We don't even know it. It's like, yeah. But you've got to diaphragm, you know? I always tell my kids, you're not speaking to her, you're speaking to her. Speaking to the person in the back. So get used to using your diaphragm so that you can get volume. Because it's really important. Once you learn to speak with volume, you can turn it down. That's easy. You can adjust it for the audience. But it's much harder to turn it up than it is to turn it down. So you've got to practice speaking like theater, like an actor, from the diaphragm. You'll go to a theater and these people don't even need a microphone. They've learned to speak to the back of the room, and it's important. And it's a physical manifestation of speaking. It's an exercise as important as push-ups or stretching or anything else. It's the yoga of speaking. Work the diaphragm. Clear, equally difficult because you gotta be crisp. You know, there's a tendency for people to want to speak fast, quickly. Somehow this is associated with being clever or smart. No way. Doesn't need diddly-do. You see these debates. That's the worst thing. These stupid TV debates where they're going, and everyone's, ooh, wow, they said 250,000 words in 1 minute. Yay! He's really smart. No, he's not really smart. He's an idiot. I mean, why? First of all, why do you need 250,000 words? I always say, if you can say it in 10 words, you're smarter than the guy who needs 150 words to say the same thing, okay? But speaking slow allows you to enunciate and to pronounce the words and the sounds. So don't be in a rush thinking that someone might think that you are slow or stupid because you're trying to be clear. Once your mouth and your tongue and your ears hearing it and your brain all are comfortable with the movements required to make each of these sounds, then you can talk like a New Yorker. It'll come very natural. You'll be able to talk in a much more fast, natural way. But don't try to do that. Slow down. Enunciate. You get it? Make the sounds be heard. I'm telling you, loud and clear, vital. Expression, same thing I showed you earlier with, right? Hungry, tired, I love you, or I love you. Express yourself. It enhances the message. If you're like this, nobody's gonna care. You know, you could look at good public speakers. People, sometimes, you know what you should try doing? If you're watching someone on TV that you know it just seems to captivate you, turn the sound volume off. And just look at their body. I guarantee you, you're going to see a lot of different expression and movement because it's all blended in together. So you gotta, it's like making food, right? You have to have the main ingredients, but what would it be without the spices? What would any food be without the spice? You know? So the expression is like the spice in your meal. So this is my double triangle concept. And now that I've been doing it for 5 years, I can say that I really believe it. At first I thought it made sense, but now I'm convinced of it. It works. Reading, same as listening. Gives you the nourishment you're going to need for your brain. Writing, speaking. And in speaking, have something to say. But also speak. When you're going to speak, it's an exercise. Utilize all of those 3 tools. Loud, clear, expressive. And you'll be a better communicator. And people listen. I tell my kids sometimes they get up in front of the class. You know how young kids are. They want to talk. They don't really want to listen. So I say, but I watch them. I say, now watch. The kids that are going soft, doesn't matter what they say. It doesn't take 30 seconds and the kids in the back are starting to talk. Why? Because they can't even hear the guy or the girl. The ones that speak with more authority, they get attention. So it's important that you learn this yourselves and then pass that on to your kids. You know? It's very important because otherwise people will just tune them out. Tune them out, can't hear you, can't understand you, don't wanna.
Can I have a question?
Yes.
Yeah, it's gender. Does genders, like male, female, affect
Gender?
affect to the way we communicate or express?
Okay. All right. Gender in the sense that if you're talking about volume, or are you just talking about
gesture and
gestures? Okay. Yeah. All right. So guys and girls might express themselves a little differently. Guys might be more aggressive, and that's fine. But there's no excuse. And I tell my girls this all the time. Girls, the boys seem louder. It seems more natural. That's why, again, it's diaphragm. It's an exercise. There is no reason that a girl cannot raise her voice. I know they can because I've seen girls when they're mad. They can be very loud. So I know that it's not impossible for them to be loud. Right? It's just maybe not common. But if you think of it as an exercise, then it'll be beneficial, helpful to you. Because again, if you're not heard, you are saying nothing.
Great.
If you speak the most brilliant thing in the world, but I cannot hear you, you have said nothing. You understand? It's the same as if I don't understand you. You've said nothing. So yes, I tell the girls, it might seem more challenging for you to compete in the volume department, but you can do it and you must. You simply must. It's an exercise and you must learn to do it. Like I said, you can always dial it down, but be able to reach the high point. Now, as far as gesturing, okay, guys might be more flamboyant, but women have the advantage of being women. You can be more subtle, but you can do things with your hair that we can't do. I can't even make mine wiggle a little bit. What I'm getting at is, everybody knows what they've got that works when they're communicating. We learned that at a very early age. So whatever your little thing is, use it. Use it. Whether it's a little smile, if it's a little wink, if it's whatever it is, use it. It's work for you. We all know what it is. Everyone acts, oh, I don't know. But when you're home and you're looking in the mirror, you're like, oh. So when you get up there, exploit your assets. There's nothing wrong with that. It's communication, man. It's communication. All right. So what do we got? We got that. That's where's expression right. Okay, so we know that. Here's a good one. TV. Okay, now, a lot of kids say to me, I like to learn English watching TV and movies and YouTube, stuff like that, right? There's nothing wrong with that. Because they say, so I don't like to read, because reading is so boring, and I watch movies and TVs, and I really learn how the Western people talk. Here's the problem with that. The problem with that is that it's when you're watching a screen, okay, I don't care if it's your phone screen, I don't care if it's a theater screen, I don't care if it's a TV screen, I don't care what kind of screen it is. You're watching a screen, it is an optical, right? Eyes, optical sensation. It's created to be pleasing to the eye. Now, of course, there's sounds, they're talking, right? So it's also, audio, but audio is second nature. You watch kids watching like cartoons and stuff, they're not even hearing anything at some point. They have literally been sucked in to the visual, and they're just watching. It's created mainly as an optical experience. It just so happens to also have sound, so that you can hear words besides whatever's going on, all the weird sounds that are going on there, right? So it's, and then answer this. How many times have you seen somebody watching a movie or whatever and saying, oh, what did they just say? And you stop it and rewind and play it again. I still didn't get it. Let me rewind that. Maybe never. Come on, never. Nobody does that. You just keep going because you're watching it. It's an optical opiate, like a drug. Now, when you read, if you don't understand something, you simply start the sentence again. 10 times if you must. It takes no work, no buttons to press, you just go back. And guess what? With the book, instead of the image being created for you, you create the image, the words you read, attached to your brain and your imagination, create the movie in your mind. When you read something good, those words create the picture for you. That's the beauty of literature. That's the beauty of speaking also. That's why people listen to some people. The tone of the voice, maybe. the body movement, everything, but it's creating a visual. The words are creating the visual. The visual is not creating the words. You understand? So when they tell me, oh, I want to just watch TV and videos and YouTube and stuff like that, I know they're getting sucked in to the optical opiate. In fact, that's what we're going to call it, the optical opiate. It's a visual drug that turns people, I swear to you, screen, right? You lose your peripheral vision. That's why sports are important. I've always believed that. Because when you stand here, you can see a lot, right? In the corner of your eyes. When you get used to staring at a screen, you have blinders. Suddenly your vision becomes like this. You become worthless. Robot boys and girls. You got no, peripheral vision, man. You got no imagination. You can't think without being told through the picture what the heck is going on. The words should paint the picture. Now, that leads us, here's another goodie. That leads me to mind maps. Now, you guys all know about mind maps, right?
Then you should take a short break.
Take a break?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm worried for you.
No, don't worry about me. I'm loving this. You kidding me?
Take
I'll take a sip. No, this excites me. I love this.
Okay, I know why kids love you. Yeah.
Yeah, the kids do love me.
Okay, take a short break. Another question.
Yeah, if you have any questions, I got a couple of good things still.
Yeah.
Do we have how much time? Do we have plenty of time?
We still have a lot of time.
Okay,
Yeah,
good,
we
good.
can spend the whole morning with you.
No, if I'm not boring you, I'm loving this. I have nothing to do today. My whole day is clear. So, look, to me, a chance to speak to future teachers just makes my heart feel good because I love my students. I love them. I'm a father. I have a daughter older than you guys. And I raised her pretty much by myself. And so, I don't do anything halfway. So my kids are important to me. I know that I'm speaking to a group who may be teaching my teeniest kids in the future or the little brothers and sisters of them or that are still, in the planning stages. That's awesome. That is great. And if you can learn anything from me, then I've done a good job. Because, I speak from 5 years. That may not be a long time, 5 years, but I think it's pretty good amount of time, considering I've taught everything from preschool to high school. I've taught it all. I've taught all of it, And I've met with MOAT. I went down to MO, Ministry of Education Training. Had a great conversation. They'd heard about me and met me and wanted me to share ideas. So I work with the English language office at the U.S. Embassy with our mutual friend, Zoom. Yeah. And, so, it's become important to me. This is like, it's important because if we're going to have that renaissance, we gotta get these kids loaded up with all the things they need to be able to have fabulous lives, future.
My friend, she speaks really. Okay, take a break.
Take a break.
Yeah, she speaks really low,
Really soft.
Yeah, really soft. We advise
Anh nút nào đấy?
bấm nút đỏ
Không,
để tắm
lên
chứ.
nút đỏ
Bấm
rồi.
nút đỏ để tắm chứ.
Đỏ đâu? Trên đây
Đứng
không?
à?
Chưa
Nó đen ở dưới. Nút tròn.
Đây.
Không, đấy nó
Đáy
cái
chứ,
tròn.
đáy.
You guys got me wound up now. I'm like a little robot, little toy wound up.
so cold.
We are so amazed because we cannot do it like you, and you are 66 and we are just about
Sao sao.
yeah.
All right, so mind maps. You guys know about mind maps. Very popular. Very, very popular in Vietnam, everywhere, not just Vietnam, everywhere. To the point that I fear that they are overused. And I'll explain why. Mind maps for language learning, I don't think are the best. And it's because of the following. They become great art projects. You know, you give a kid a piece of paper, or one of those big pieces of paper, or a piece of paper like this, whatever, right? You give it to kid, say, okay, make a mind map. They all know what a mind map is. They spend, let's say I have a class, it's an hour and a half class. They'll spend easily, if you don't stop them, they'll spend the whole hour and a half drawing. Because why not? Art's lovely, right? I'm not anti-art, not me. And a kid's, with many colored pens, and you see these fantastic looking art projects. Problem is, it's an English class, not an art class. So after they have spent the majority of their creative gas making pretty pictures, then they write keywords, right? In the bubbles or whatever, and that's cool. And then they make their presentation. And typically the presentation is, like, let's say this was a mind map. Their typical presentation is, they'll say, speaking. They don't even embellish it. They use the keyword, and that's it. Like, if it was Tet. Beautiful picture. Maybe they got a dragon. They got, the kids, just gorgeous artwork. And then maybe the thing is, again, I'm hung up on chung cake. Let's say it's chung cake is the word. So you would want them then to explain, take the time, what is chung cake? What's the importance of it? What's the origin of it? What's in it? Blah, blah, blah. But they'll just say, chung cake, we eat chung cake on Tet. Maybe they'll say sticky rice, meat, green beans, wrap. Okay, so they have spent 40 minutes on the art part and 10 minutes on the speaking part, and the speaking part is the core of the lesson. The mind map is supposed to be helping them for their speaking project, right? So, I am careful because I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. Because again, I'm not anti-art, but it is an English. It's an English class. So I go old school. I'm kind of old school. I tell them, I call them talking points. Talking points, or what we call, you guys have that bullet points. 2 L's. Bullet points. Bullet points like a dot, and then you say something, dot, and. So I'll go like this, say, look, okay, so put Tet, and then do your little, just, if you really need to make a picture, if that's so important, go ahead and make a little picture, but let's remember that it's an English class and not an art class. And I don't want you to write all of your text. I do want you to write keywords, but I expect you to expand on your keywords with the same enthusiasm that you draw your fabulous pictures. Okay? So I think it's important, and I see teachers getting very excited about the pictures. You understand? It's like the teachers are more excited by the mind map than the presentation. So I think you have to be very, again, optic, just thought of it, optic opiate. It's the same thing. Again, it's that visual drug. Oh, look how fabulous. Oh, little Ming and little Ling did such a, they're beautiful little job. Okay, frame it. But let's hear them say something. So keywords, to me, I tell them, talking points. If you want to draw one little picture, make one picture. That's okay. But talking points. And you can list your talking points, good reminders, and then fill it in. Draw the picture with your words. And, they tend to, they're able to do it. And then another thing I will do, let's say they've got their talking points. They will tend to, because they're a little nervous, so they'll do a lot of this. They'll look at their paper, right, and sort of try to talk. And this is something else you got to know. I sit right. I like, let's say you're me and I'm the student, and I'll sit just that close to them when they're speaking doing the thing, and I'll look at them and say, "You got to look at me." I don't mind you looking at your paper to refresh your memory. In fact, if you have an entire sentence written down that you want to recite, good. Look at it, and then look up at me and say it. Don't do this. Again, eye contact. Very, very important. This leads me to something else. You asked about differences in the culture. I noticed, particularly with women, Vietnamese women, eye contact is a little like not cool, it's like they tend to look away. Now, in the West, if you're speaking to someone and their eye is looking away when they're speaking to you, that makes you very suspicious. It means they're dishonest. They're sneaky. They're hiding something. Even if you're not. Maybe it's just because you're being humble or bashful or whatever. But eye contact is really, really important. Especially for you girls, because I think you talk about different thing between men and women. I think it's easier for a man to look at a man in the eye. Maybe a woman's not supposed to look a man in the eye. I don't know. I get that vibe. So you got to get over that. Because in communicating with a Westerner, it is vital that you look them in the eye. You have to be able to do that, not be afraid to do it. You got to be able to do it. It's part of what you're selling, what you're expressing. Very, very important. So I always tell the kids, you got to look at me. Don't be. I don't mind you having notes. I have notes right here. I have notes wherever I go if I can have them. But you don't see me going like this. I'll look down, I refer, and then I'm back to my audience, right? And everyone's an audience. If it was just you and I would consider that an audience. I consider the world, what did Shakespeare, all the world is a stage, and we are all actors on the stage. You almost should think like that. It makes it more fun. Just, we're all actors on stage expressing ourselves, communicating. So important to get that communication across. So make sure your kids don't get hooked on the mind maps, overdo the artsy side of it. If they're going to use keywords, demand that they embellish the keywords, complete thoughts, and not get lost in this, even if it's just a prop. They've got to make eye contact. They've got to. And you know, when they start doing that, amazing how the body moves. You talk like this. I could go, my beef with mind maps for language learning is that they essentially, but if I said it like this, I'd say, my beef for mind maps with language, you automatically get expressive when you're looking at people. You can't help it. It's all tied together. But if you can avoid the person, then you can be very monotone, very robotic. So don't let the kids get hooked. I'll tell them, I don't care how long it takes you. Look, see what you want to say, and then look up and go for it. Even if you only get 4 words out and have to go back and look again. I don't mind. Okay, no problem. Don't read it from the paper. That's it. Okay, now, I'm going to draw a picture with your, so there you go. So that's what I said. Sadly, mind maps tend to minimize the effectiveness of the written or spoken word because, again, we want the picture to be drawn from our words, not from great pictures. And again, I'm not anti-art. You must believe me, I love art. I really do. All right, now, here's one. This is a biggie. AI. You all know AI, yes? You guys are like the first generation of possible victims and culprits because AI is something that, you know, we had to use a dictionary or a thesaurus to come up with words. You don't even have to write anything now. You can have AI write your whole paper. It's just horrible. But it's also cool. I have a friend who has a weekly radio show in California. And he will go to the AI, to his computer and say, I want a story about an alien that attacks New York City, and I want it in the style of Ernest Hemingway. And I mean, you can tell the AI a lot, and it will spit it out. And Marco, that's his name, will read these stories. It's great entertainment. Okay? So it's not inherently bad. It's just another medium. If you look at it for what it should be, you know that this computer-generated story, pretty awesome, pretty cool. Man, it does sound like Hemingway. It's a great, neat story. And sometimes I've heard him do it. He'll go back and say, oh, I want the ending to be more like this, and it'll rewrite the story and give it a new ending. It's amazing, okay? So if you look at it as a form of entertainment, okay. It's when, now do you know what the word plagiarize is? What plagiarism is?
Yeah.
You guys all know that. Do you or not? So why don't you tell them in Vietnamese? Okay. One of the big fears for writers, one of the traps they fall into, is plagiarism. You're writing something that's supposed to be your own, you're using some resource material, and you just love what it says, and you think, maybe no one will notice if I just slip that sentence in there and make it my own. It's plagiarism. It's wrong, and it's really, really wrong. In fact, the president of Harvard University just got canned because she got nailed for plagiarism in some of her more than one research paper. So it happens, and it has happened. It's knocked down a lot of great writers, politicians, whatever, who plagiarize. Okay? You can't do it. AI is the ultimate form of plagiarism. To use this thing to write for you is no different than you stealing someone else's. You understand? It is ethically wrong. It's ethically wrong. If you pass it off as your own, you should face circumstances, punishment, whatever, like the Harvard president of Harvard being fired. I mean, you simply must have the moral fortitude to know that it is wrong. Can it be fun? Can you be enjoyable? Absolutely. Can you use it and put your name on it? Absolutely not. Now, here's how ugly it's getting. My friend at the English Language Center in Hanoi, part of the U.S. Embassy, I was talking to him about wanting to do a writing contest. Not even a contest. I said, let's get a compilation go to all the schools in Vietnam and get the kids to write fiction and pick out the best ones and publish a book of fiction by the children of Vietnam. He said, Kent, AI, it's become a zoo. We can't risk it anymore. You don't know who wrote it, who didn't write it. What are we going to do? So it's beginning to kill. It's not kill, it's casting a dark shadow over writers, people who actually use their own imagination. So I thought, okay, how can we make something positive out of this? Because, you gotta make lemonade out of the lemons. You've heard of that one? You guys know that one? Make a lemon in English. In the West, a lemon is like bad. Like a car that's a lemon is a horrible car. If something's a lemon, it's no good. So they say, if life gives you a lemon, make lemonade. Make something positive out of something negative. So I thought, okay, here's how this could be helpful, the AI. First, it's going to force people to speak more, to become better speakers. Because if less focus is being put on what you write, how are you going to show what you got? More focus is going to go on interviews and speaking and less on essays. You're going to have to develop your speaking skills. They're going to become more important than ever. That's great. Also, how about this? On the spot writing. So, if we can't have a contest, have young people submit stories because we fear AI, everyone in the room, let's take an hour, everyone write a short story. On the spot writing. Wow. Think how stimulating that will become when you gotta go, dang, I gotta start writing. Come up with an idea, write for 30 minutes or an hour or whatever, on the spot writing. AI proof.
What less?
You can do it. Right on the spot. Right now. We all sit and write. Not at home, not later, now. And let me tell you, that's what's going to happen. You're going to end up, kids trying to get to universities are starting to, obviously, they're going to use AI to write their essay. Well, very easy to find out if they do. You say, okay, sit down. When you do the personal interview, ask them to say, right now, give me a synopsis of your essay. they're not going to sound anything like what they got from AI. So you're going to get caught as soon as you have to speak or are asked to write on the spot. And that's what's going to happen. That's how they're going to nail people, through interviews and writing on the spot. So it's going to make us better speakers, and it's going to make us better writers, because we're going to have to know that the luxury of say, okay, go write this thing and it's due, tomorrow. That's going to start dying off. You're going to be in classrooms where they're going to say, okay, write an essay on this, and you're going to have to sit down there and do it. I like that. That's probably kind of scary. I think that's cool. It'll demand that you get proficient at expressing yourself through words on the spot. That's what I'm calling it. On the spot writing. You know what on the spot means?
Yes.
That's a saying. On the spot means like right here, right now. On the spot. I think that's cool. It's going to be scary, but wow. Think how good that'll be for the brain and the imagination, on the spot writing.
It's brutal.
I like it. So anyway, guys, I think that's about it. Last thing I wanted to say was regarding the Renaissance. This is my last statement. In every classroom except this one,
Don't have clock.
there is a picture of Uncle Ho.
Yes.
I see Uncle Ho every day. I look up, Uncle Ho. I love the man. But here's what I would like for you to think about and for you to pass on to your children and students down the road is, don't just worship Uncle Ho. Emulate Uncle Ho. Be like Uncle Ho. Here was a man who was a writer, a poet, spoke multiple languages, traveled the world, was a leader, a military leader when he had to be, was a teacher. I mean, it's great to say we love Uncle Ho, but how about be like Uncle Ho? Think of those qualities, and those are all the qualities that people need in order to make this Renaissance happen. I mean, think of the beauty of it. Multiple languages, poet, writer, teacher, a man who could rise and stand up when history called his name. Those are the qualities that we all should strive for, even if it's only little pieces of it. And that will help make the Renaissance. I always think Uncle Ho's very excited about what's going on. I think he'd probably be very, very pleased to see the direction that the country's going. Probably very thrilled to know that finally the kids can begin to explore more creative avenues. The heavy lifting has been done, and I really do. I always look at him. I always talk to him. Are we okay, Uncle O? You're okay, Paul. You're okay. So I'm serious when I say that too. I really feel that. Not even joking. I'm telling you from my heart. So, any last questions? Any last questions for the teacher? No? Okay. Well, I will say I really enjoyed this. You guys are wonderfully attentive. And I'm sure because you have such a fantastic teacher, and now that I know you will be together, that's so awesome. You'll be together for like years to come now, for a couple of more years.
Yes.
You can really develop and flower. That is really cool. we never had that option. I mean, in a way, no, we never had one teacher that you could kind of follow in university. It was very difficult, maybe a couple of times, but not.
Yeah.
So that's huge. You guys have a great opportunity. So, fare forward and keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Any?
If we still have any kind of question.
Yeah, no, anything. Any question. You can ask me something personal. I don't care.
Yeah. It's not a question, but I think I have some kind of ideas to explain why not the woman but the girls in Vietnam and even the men
Okay.
and boys like me, when we communicate, we avoid looking directly into
Eye contact.
eye contact. It's because we scare of the opposite, the other people to they can read our emotion, they can read our thoughts.
That's okay. Listen, you guys laugh. Let me tell you something. In the last novel I wrote, there's a scene where the guy and the girl, it's a Vietnamese woman and a Western guy, and their boyfriend and girlfriend. And she says she stopped looking when they would be close, looking in his eye, because she thought he could read everything. She didn't want him to be able to see that much of her from looking in her eyes. So there's something wrong. What you're saying is cool. So what do? If that is in fact something we're concerned about. Because we can't stop using the eye contact. You're wiped out without it, I'm telling you. But how do you avoid? Again, it's theater. If you think of yourself as an actor or an actress when you're communicating, and I don't mean it means that you're not being real to somebody. That's not what I'm suggesting. You're not being fake, but you're simply using your eyes to help project what it is you are actually saying. You understand? It's not an open door to your soul. It's a zzz to help communicate with what it is you're trying to say. So your soul is still protected, your heart is still protected. But it's so key. And I get what you said. I'm telling you, in my story, it's the first paragraph of the book.
Yeah.
The girl and the guy, and then she said that she stopped, she didn't like it because she felt he could look into her.
Yeah.
So, but you've got to do it, guys. I'm telling you, man. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just telling you it's a Western thing. And if you're going to do business with the Westerners or study with them or whatever, and you're constantly looking away, they just think like, what are they hiding? They're not being honest. There's an old saying. They'll say, you can't even look me in the eye when you say that. That's very common. You'll see that in a movie. They'll say, tell me that you did not take my bicycle. Come on, look me in the eye and tell me. Because people, I didn't take your bicycle. You see what I mean? It's like so ingrained in that Western culture that you look someone in the eye that, you've got to get used to that you can do it and feel comfortable. Very important, very important. Particularly in business and education.
Yeah. Okay, and for the first point of view that you see Vietnamese people is very caring and loving and kind of very friendly, right?
Yes.
But I must tell you that maybe we will speak behind you. We will judge you. Are you scared of that?
Of being what?
Being judged.
Charged?
Yeah, being kind of we spoke about.
Oh no, I don't care. Look, we have an old saying. I don't care what you say about me, as long as you're talking about me. In other words, if you're talking about me, could be good, could be bad, you're talking about me. Thank you very much. That's just the way I've lived my life. You got to learn that also. It's about having thick skin. You know the saying, thick skin? Not soft, because look, in life, people will talk about you. And I know Vietnamese are gossips. Oh my God, do they gossip? I have walked down the street, this is no lie, in Hanoi, walking like this close, right, in a small alley with a girl I did not know. She did not know me. We just happened to be like, and not even looking at each other or talking. And the old Vietnamese ladies, they were a bunch blabbing away, man. And she looked over at me and just smiled. Because we both knew it was, they were already gossiping.
Yeah.
They were making a story out of two complete strangers. No way. I mean, people talk. I mean, yeah. And I know that because, especially in Niam, where there's not very many foreigners, you know, if I'm talking with a girl, if I'm having pizza or meal with a friend, is that your girlfriend or your daughter? That's what they always ask. Is it your girlfriend or your daughter? I say, I'm that old, all right. It's like, those are the two options, girlfriend or daughter. That's funny. So, yeah, no, you can't worry about what people say about you. Who cares? Just remember, if they're talking about you, you're still important.
Wow.
That's the way to look at it. No matter what they're saying, forget what they're saying. They're talking about you. You're still number one.
Any question, other?
These guys, you guys, that was great, guys. Thank you so much. I really, really loved that. That was like so cool. Thank you.
A very interesting point is that I actually, for the last class, I collected ideas from my students, all these guys here, about their learning English experience.
Ah.
And most of people here love listening or watching like film, movies,
Right.
on Netflix or whatever.
Right.
Okay, so they said this is so engaging. You know, sometimes you can turn on the subtitle or whatever. That's
Right.
For them, that is a good way to learn English. But looking back at the top, right? When you share the idea of watching cartoon, for example, or watching movie. Now, here's the point. I read some studies so that if you watch TV, it's a passive entertainment. This is what is very much in line with your finding. This passive entertainment.
Passive entertainment.
Okay, you don't have to think
Right.
critically,
Right.
Just because the sound was so engaging, the characters, the actors so stunning, and that maybe is not the reason that you get immersed in the language, but the other factors, because he's so sexy, for example, right? And you know, most of the time you can make a guess, even though they don't need to utter a word.
Right. You could
Yeah.
write the lyrics with the words.
So yes, but nowadays, you know, the trend is that most people know. Even years ago, I taught a group of Thai students. They said that I love listening and watching a movie, and then I keep talking with my students. They said that I listen. The way I improve my English listening is to listen to English songs. So at the end of the semester, I asked, how can you improve your listening skill? She said, at a very minimum level. So that is the, you know, when I listen to your